but it infuriates me because it's such a simple thing not to do. Like, I'm not asking you to clean up the oceans. Like, we know there's like great environmental harm going on. I'm just asking you not to throw the cup out of your window.
Squeegee Podcast Season 2. This podcast is sponsored by Blind Maggot, Magna Colours, M&R, Target Transfers, and Adobe Creative Suite.
So my name is Jacob Bennett. I own and operate a Agenda Trading Company out of my 235 square foot shop behind me. The whole brand is based off of pretty much all my interests, like tattoos, outdoors, camping, like just everything I'm into, I've managed to roll into a brand. And most of my stuff is e-commerce. I do local events around town as well. But that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah. So do you do commission work for other people alongside Agenda, like as a print shop? Or?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've been able to kind of transition where I make more of my money off of the brand than I do custom printing. But obviously, I'm set up for custom printing, so there's no reason not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've upped my minimum over the years, and I've got it kind of dialed in where I have a bunch of repeat customers. I print for a lot of bands and schools and things like that. So it's people I've worked with before. So they pretty much contact me. Hey, this is what I need. Give me a price. We'll pay it. And it's easy peasy, not just back and forth over 12 shirts, you know?
Yeah. How did you, because I'm in a really, really similar situation where I don't take on any new customers now, but like, how long did it take you to build up like that customer? How long have you been printing for other people? Where you got the confidence to kind of like start saying no to certain jobs?
I'm still learning because sometimes like I have those jobs that are just too easy that come by and I should say no, but I take them on anyway. So I started building my business on the side, probably, I think it was about 2010. And I was working at a print shop where we actually specialize in vehicle wraps. So that's mainly what I did. But then about 6 years ago, I started working for myself full time. And over those 6 years, like the last 2 years, I've like really focused in on the brand more so than anything, especially once COVID hit, my online sales went through the roof naturally. And that was the way I wanted to make my money anyway. So I just started channeling my energy that way. And I mean, it's more of a long-term thing because I'm going to make less money in the immediate.
Yes.
But in the long term, I'm building, like I'm not enslaving myself to my business so much. I'm actually making my money on the things I want to make it off of.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's also just like this psychological burden of having someone else's expectations of a custom print job on you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, they push their stress on you. And then you're taking it on from all these different directions.
I'm a one-man operation, so I'm my own boss. But when you're printing for other people and they give you thousands of dollars, they're kind of your boss for the next 2 weeks until you get that order out.
So like, how do you get any guidance in like these business decisions? Do you just talking it out with your wife? Are you reading books, or like, is it mainly just how you feel, and is it quite self-initiated?
All the above. I have a lot of friends in the industry, and I have like within like a 5-mile radius of my house, there's probably 10 print shops. So like, I don't really compete with them or anything. We all have our own little niche, but I have a ton of people that run just custom printing businesses. And then I have friends that have like damn near like $500,000, $1 million e-commerce apparel businesses. So I have resources that I can draw from, just talking it through with people, tons of trial and error. Just like when you're learning how to screen print, you're going to mess up a bunch of shirts. It's the same kind of thing, running ads and all that. Like, it's an ever evolving process, and especially using social media that is constantly changing as well. I have to change and adapt to that for it to work for me. So it's never like, you're never just going to set it and then it's good to go. And you might be able to coast for a month or two, but something's going to change and you're going to have to adapt to that. So
yeah, it is changing like week on week with all these things that they're bringing out, and all the platforms are competing with each other like crazy. Like what kind of things? So you said you do like in person, like market stores and stuff. Have you ever broken it down in terms of like percentages of like how much money you're making on markets and e-commerce and different events? Or
yeah, the events I haven't really dialed in precisely. So I get a lot of cash sales and stuff, and things will kind of like, I get busy at those markets and I'll kind of lose track of stuff. But the markets are definitely a big money maker. I'm looking at my calendar right now. I got one this Saturday, next Saturday, the Saturday after that. I'm actually going out of state for a market. Like spring and fall, I get really busy and almost have an event every weekend. And those are a huge money maker. But between that and online sales, if I combine both of those, it's probably equal to my custom printing. So it's 50-50-ish. It'll vary month to month. Spring and fall, I make way more off of the brand because of markets. And because of that, naturally, I can't take on as many custom jobs. So the custom jobs kind of float me through the summer months, and then like after Christmas. And then the brand takes up for it in other parts of the year.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So is it like taking you a few years to kind of realize what the good markets are? Because I don't know if it's the same here, but I've been to market stores where I like, it's nothing, like almost nothing. And then you might hit a sweet one where there's like no competition. Like we did like an ale festival, like, and we just signed up for it the day before, and that was like the best ever. So do you think it takes quite a few years to figure it out, or do you think you have to keep going to the same event to build your name up? Or
both. I've been doing events pretty much since day one, and so I'm established in the local area. I have people that like invite me to events now.
Oh, nice.
So I do them all over the state, and I'm even going out of state. And but it is brand recognition too. It's just like the McDonald's arches. Like, it doesn't even say McDonald's anymore. It's just the arches, but everybody knows what it is because they see it all the time. It's just over and over. You see it and see it and see it. And even though my brand isn't like, it's not like a local themed stuff, I still have a few local kind of shirts that still fit within like the outdoor kind of stuff. So I sell a lot of those naturally at the markets. That's I use that as like a step to get them into my booth. Like, I'll kind of highlight some of the local shirts, and they'll come in and start looking at everything else. But I have a really good local like customer base that when they know I'm going to a market, they'll come out and buy stuff in person and all that.
Oh, that's brilliant. It's amazing how you can get to a level where you're very self-sufficient, running off relatively simple kit. Because I've got the same cruiser as you. And I think that's a buddy, but I like that it's suspended. You'll have to tell us about all your space-saving things. But it's quite a sweet spot, isn't it? Because you don't have these overheads that the big studios have. So you don't have, like, it's no desperation anymore, because you can just, like, pick and choose. You're not as, like, under pressure with, like, salaries and things.
Yeah,
do you think
exactly.
You hit a sweet spot, or do you want to grow? Like, what's your ambition for size, do you reckon?
I've considered doing the storefront thing, but again, I see that as a short-term gain, because the whole reason I went into business for myself is like, I don't like being told what to do. So I've got to be my own boss and live how I want to live. And I have a very flexible schedule. Like tomorrow, I'm going camping in the middle of the week because I have an event this weekend, but during the week, as long as I take care of work, and I have to pay my mortgage regardless. So this is paid for. I don't have any rent. All my equipment's paid off. So like you said, there's no overhead. I mean, I have the stress of providing for my whole family. But other than that, I don't have the stress of paying other people that also have to provide for their family. And I know I could expand. I could do a storefront, and I would definitely make more money. But to me, it takes away more of my time, and it's not worth the profit.
Yeah. Because what are you, I always find this really interesting, because you're talking about like other people having $1 million brands and stuff, but then you're thinking, are they earning money to spend more time with their families? Whereas you're in a sweet spot where you can go away. So why get bigger if it's not giving you more time with your family? There's just this constant weighing up, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's a balancing act, but like it's very easy to get caught up in that race of just like more. Like, well, if I expand, I can make more, but then that just adds stress too. I mean, to be successful, you do have to push the boundaries. Like, you can't just like sit where you're at and expect to progress in life. But there's a sweet spot. Like, I'm just a dude printing out of my garage, and I have people on Instagram all the time. They're like, "Oh man, I wish I could do what you're doing." And I'm like, well, for 8 years, I worked 60 hours at a print shop, and I came home every night and printed. And I put in the work and worked those double jobs and all that. And now, years down the road, I do have this like sweet spot of having a lot of free time, but still making a living and all that, you know?
Yeah.
But
no, it's true.
You got to put in the hard work sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm completely on board with loads of things you're saying. So, like, are you a water-based studio, or are you Plasol, or is that?
Plasol. I've messed with water-based. I like it, but of course, like working from home too, like, and I have small kids, like conflict comes up a lot, and I have to just stop what I'm doing. And you don't want to leave water-based ink sitting in a screen all day. So Plastisol just makes sense because my wife stays at home with the kids, and but I mean, she'll have to go run errands and stuff, and there's just like chaos going on in the house, so I have to stop what I'm doing. So Plastisol is easy; it works for me. But
because in the UK, there's always been this like kind of slightly negative thing about Plasol not being as environmental, but I think on our scale of manual small heater, it's actually more consuming of energy and resources to do water-based ink printing. So like I've been like going between the two, but for especially if you're doing any commercial printing for other people, I think you're leaning towards Plasol because it does make sense financially, and as you say, like you can just go have a lunch break or set it up and take a phone call, and it's just convenient.
Yeah, and that's another thing, especially I run all this myself. So if I have to respond to an email or do this, and like it's very seldom, like I joke all the time, but the least amount of my screen printing business is actually screen printing. So like I'm hardly ever standing over here compared to all the other things that's going. The days I get to stand over there, I have a TV and I'll just watch stuff on YouTube, and that's like the most peaceful days where I get to stand there and print. But that's like such a small fraction of my actual overall business.
Yeah. Can you tell us about some of the stuff in your studio? Because I don't, if people don't follow you, I think it's like they're doing themselves an injustice. But there's really interesting things like how you're doing all this space saving in the tiny area. Like, can you talk to us about some of the coolest things you've
so my whole shop's 235 square feet. It's about 9.5 feet wide, and I don't know if you can tell, but my press clears the wall by about that much on both sides. So if you got to get to the garage door, you got to turnstile through it. So really, let's see, from here back, nothing's really changed since day one. Like the press kind of has to stay there. But like my oven here is actually suspended from the ceiling. So that it's attached to the wall and suspended. So all this is open floor space. So I can have storage over here. This is a lot of website inventory. And I have these rolly carts with more inventory. There's two under beautiful. Here.
Did you make those?
Yeah, I made all these. All this is made out of like pallet wood. This one I actually welded up the frame on it.
Oh, and you got a brand on the side of it as well. That's so cool.
Yeah. These I have a camper van that I can just load these into when I go do markets and stuff.
Oh, right.
So this is kind of like my command center for packing orders. because I kind of have everything right here. But like my ink over here, I even set it into the wall instead of building off the wall, just to have like a little bit more space. I have tall ceilings, so vertical space, obviously. Right behind the computer, there's a wall, but above me, I have about 80 screens going like all the way across. I got my transparency printer over there. My light table is right next to me. And the light table where I'm sitting, I actually used to have a darkroom framed up kind of right in here. And I was thinking, I was like, I'm the only person that's ever in the shop.
Yeah.
Like, why do I need a designated darkroom that's just taking up floor space? So I tore it down. And now I have like a yellow light in here. I just turn off the lights and cover the window and burn screens in here instead of trying to cram in this little bitty darkroom that was wasting space 99% of the time. So
do you think they're like standardizing things like screen sizes, squeegee sizes? Like what kind of like standardized things do you do to make everything work? Because I've had a hodgepodge of loads of different stuff, like just stuff that people gave me, and I realized that it was actually slowing us down, and it's much better to buy my own things, all the same screen size, and like even limit the amount of mesh. And like, I use 23 by 31 inch screens, the big ones. And what is great about those, you don't have to tape the sides. There's so much working room in them. You got to tape off registration marks and stuff, but you can fit multiple images in there. Like almost every time I burn a screen, there's at least a left chest and like the main image or whatever on there. All the ones on the press are doubled up, so you can just flip them around. So you actually save money by not using tape. They're easier to clean. You don't get all the ink piled up on the sides and all that. You can put 2 images on there per screen. And if you have like the cruiser that has the side clamps, those, I think that's kind of important for the bigger screens to hold registration. 100%. Yeah.
Because when you just have it at the bottom, that's a lot of wiggle room. But definitely streamlining screens like that. I'm in the process of like upgrading all my squeegees to the aluminum ones. It's easier to clean and all that. And so, but
sometimes it's like you do keep hold of them for way too long though, don't you? And you're like, oh, I could still get a few more prints out of this one, and then you've even got like splinters on your hand and you're still like trying to justify it. You're like,
well, a lot of my wood ones have been breaking on me lately, like the squeegee itself. So I'm kind of like, I feel better about it. If it breaks, I'm like, well, now I have to get going. So
we do purges. We do purges, so you just sell everything, and then I'm not allowed to touch it. I got rid of like over 150 screens in one go. That's a lot. And enormous ones. Yeah. Because people just use this place as like a dumping ground for screen printing kit. And I'm like, I'll take it if it's free, but I shouldn't. I used to do that, but like I just don't have room. Because also I try my damnedest for my business not to expand into my house. So everything has to stay in here. About the only thing I do right now, I probably have like 12 boxes of shirts in my van. So I call that like my storage unit. So when I have really big jobs, I'll put all the boxes in the van and then just pull them out, print them, put them back in the van, just because I don't have a lot of floor space in here. But other than that, I try to keep everything streamlined. And I think it's applicable to even big shops of like being organized and clean. And obviously in here, I have to be like one little thing's out of place, I get plastisol on my thumb, then it's on everything. I think a lot of people use that excuse of like, oh, we're too busy to clean, like if you're just cleaning, you aren't working. And it's like, if you're so busy and making so much money that you can't stop and clean your shop, you should probably hire somebody to come do it for you then. Yeah.
Because like a clean, organized shop is gonna run better. Like there's no way around it. I've worked in shops with like 20 color automatic presses, like 2 of them in there, and we still kept it clean. Like it is scalable. And I think people underestimate that, and just a work environment. Like I'm looking at your backdrop behind you, like it's nice, it's welcoming. You got plants in there. Like you want that in your workspace. especially if you have employees. You want people to want to come to work and enjoy where they're working.
No, that's true. I did actually, when I first started, I did workshops and teaching. And at one point, I let people just print on the walls with the screens. And then I realized, but then you realize, you turn around one day and you're like, oh my God, this place looks like a child's nursery, but graffiti hellhole. So yeah, no, it's really important to have respect for your workplace and cleanliness. Also, the cleanliness thing to me isn't even about being a neat person. It's just the margins on jobs are relatively small. So if you stupidly put ink on a shirt and then have to stop what you're doing because you haven't completed the order, you can't give the customer the full thing. You've got to tell the customer that you're late, order, maybe take down that job, put up another job, and it's just not worth it. It's just so
it's not efficient.
Yeah. It's like, why would you add that stress in? Can we talk about some of your other like interests that feed into the brand? Because there's one thing in particular that I want you to, because you do like a lot of these shirts that are like about litter bugs. And I feel like this is one of your things where you're like,
it definitely
a
is.
bit enraged by it. Can you talk to me about like how that's influenced some of your designs and stuff?
Yeah, so like the whole brand's like outdoor oriented and all that. And with the litter bug thing, like oh man, I'm getting lucky you just brought it up with that.
I know. I'll show you something as well. One sec. Hold on. This is my favorite thing.
Oh, yep.
Have you got one of
my kids
these?
had one this morning.
Oh, your kids have one.
Yeah, we go and walk around the neighborhood and we'll pick up trash. But it infuriates me because it's such a simple thing not to do. Like, I'm not asking you to clean up the oceans. Like, we know there's like great environmental harm going on. I'm just asking you not to throw the cup out of your window. That's it. Like, if you're in public, there's probably a trash can in eyesight somewhere. Like, that's why it infuriates me. And there's been times where we're out in public and I'll see somebody litter and I'm like, hey, and my wife's like, come on, like, why you gotta, I'm like, pick it up.
Well, they'll probably do it because you got the deep voice and you're like they'll probably actually do it without too much conflict. That's funny.
But that's definitely like, a lot of my designs are like tongue in cheek, like some of the litter bugs, and like the one that says like stomp out litter bugs. I don't mean going around just beating up people that litter, but it's a funny shirt. Yeah, I want to. It's not about what I do. And but yeah, that's a simple one, and it's just, to me, it's not even about like, it's just about being a good person. Like, that's what you do. Yeah, you just don't litter. Simple.
Yeah. Also, it's very therapeutic going on walks and picking up rubbish. Like, if I wasn't a printer, I'd work for the council. I'd clean up the high street where my hive is. Like, that's a pleasant thing to do.
And being a parent, like, everybody hears it, but very few do it. But like, you got to lead by example. So when we go on walks, like I said, my kids, they'll fight over the trash picker and who gets to pick up trash. one of them will pick it up, the other one will throw the trash back on the ground so he can take the grabbers and he can pick it up.
And then,
which is daunting, but
yeah, that's funny. And then you catch them beating up a kid in the park for like,
and
you're like, no.
Well, yeah, we go to the park and they're like, why is there trash everywhere? I'm like, I don't know. Just people just think that's where the trash goes, and they'll spend more time at the park picking up trash.
Yeah, I think that's really super relatable though, and like loads of people obviously hate that, but it's never really, like, I haven't seen that as a theme of a shirt before. But I think that makes your brand a bit more authentic, doesn't it? Because you're just reflecting your own life and experiences back through your design.
And that's a good segue. Like, when I first started the brand, like, I didn't have a huge direction, but I knew I wanted it to be kind of like an outdoor brand. Like, we're real big into homesteading. We have chickens, a full garden in the backyard, like, and so I knew what my interest was. I just couldn't really like steer it in. So I was doing these kind of like just broad kind of outdoor shirts that were just kind of vague. And then I forgot what design it was, but a few years back I put out one that was a little bit more edgy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about this, but it took off, and I was like, oh, this is it. Like, I can just put whatever I want on t-shirts and people will buy it.
Yeah.
Because the authenticity is what people like.
Yeah.
And the brand's all me. There's no hiding behind it. So like anything I put out is like something I believe in, or I think the funny design or this and that. So that resonates with people, and especially with like Instagram, because Instagram's on your phone and your phone's in your pocket. So it drives me nuts with people's Instagram where they try to act overly professional, and we're like, we know it's your phone in your pocket. Like, loosen up a little bit. Like, just chat with me.
Yeah, but you can really easily see when it's like a big company. You can see an advert from a mile off now. So there's no point, and that's not really what Instagram should be about. Like, not like my t-shirt's here and it's $29.99. It's like, no, telling and resonating, having conversations is the most important part of it, I think.
Well, that was something a friend of mine told me a few years ago about, like, you aren't selling a product, you're selling a story. And the product, like selling a product, is the byproduct of good storytelling. Because running like an e-commerce business, I have to be a storyteller. Like, I have to compel people into buying my brand. So if I just posted it, here's a t-shirt, buy this, every single day, people are like, like, I might make a few, but I've put out just as much content that doesn't talk about the brand at all. I mean, it'll talk about the brand, but like, it's just me printing or like screen printing tips and stuff. Like, you want to add value also. And that's what they're like, well, if he's putting out this much stuff for free and helping people out for free, like, I definitely want one of his shirts now, you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't like being sold to over and over and over again. So I know other people don't want to.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who like the content and they're like, oh, how can I support you? Because I'm in a different country. And I'm like, okay, this is the t-shirt that we just did. And it's like shocking, but it's like, it's actually happened. So it's, 100%. This is what like the big companies don't understand. They're still paying for flat ads in magazines, and they're just, I swear they're just going to die out. But so like with your screen printing and like certain brands that you buy into as a screen printer, like, who do you like working with, or is there a special ink company that you've always like, you think relates to you, or the blanks even?
Well, I can just name off some of the, like, apparel wise, I use Next Level for a lot of my stuff. It's really good fit, and it's not the most expensive, but it's not like a Gildan shirt. Because especially if you're building a brand, you want shirts that people want to wear. Like, I want a nice fitting shirt, so I'm going to print shirts that I want to wear. So brand wise, I definitely don't think you should cut corners on that kind of stuff. You know, custom printing, I'll still print Gildan shirts all day long. But so apparel wise, I think a little higher end stuff for brands. There's this company, Screen Print Direct, that I order a lot of supplies from. And like here in the US, all their inks, or most of their inks, are like made here in the US, which is pretty cool. They're a smaller company as well, got very competitive pricing, really good stuff. And they send me free stuff all the time to like make content for them. They're like, hey, can you like try out this new emulsion and just make us a video? I was like, well, yeah, I'll take some free emulsion and make you a video.
People are seeing the value in affiliates, and because as a printer, you're always looking up to like other printers or like across and seeing what others are doing. So I'd much rather, if a company says, oh, my emulsion's really good, well, it doesn't mean anything. I'm going to go and I'm going to ask 5 other printers and see what emulsion they use. 100%. Like 10 years ago, I found that a lot, where you'd ask questions and you'd just get a blank wall, or there wasn't anyone to contact, or there would just be an email address about like an info form. And you're like, but I suppose social media gives us access, and you sometimes see who actually runs the print studio. And And then like obviously the layer of podcasts and stuff like opens it up massively. And
oh yeah, I mean, there's so much info. Like I'm on YouTube all the time when I can't figure out problems, you know.
Yeah.
The first print job I ever had, like right out of high school, that guy was like one of those old school guys that like would not give up anything. And I'm in there printing for him, learning how to screen print. And I would ask him questions. He's like, why are you asking that question? And get defensive. I'm like, I work for you. I need to know how to print. Like, I'm not trying to like run off and steal your customers. Like, you were paying me as an employee. Teach me how to screen print. But he was so standoffish. Anytime I asked him a question, he thought I was trying to like steal his knowledge and I was going to run off with it. I'm like, I just need to know how to print these shirts.
Yeah, no, that's true. But I even accidentally, like, I have to stop myself, but on market stalls, if I've got a special ink and someone likes that shirt, I'll be like, oh, that's puff ink, by the way, that you're feeling on that shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're like, oh my God, really? Tell me more. And otherwise they're like rolling their eyes and they don't need to know that information. But yeah, I think I'm probably more the other way, and I will ramble on the phone with you for an hour if you do ask me screen printing questions. Yeah, no, it's really funny. I was just wondering, like, you're saying that you can just like roll that into a camper and stuff. Like, how valuable do you think you'd be able to just turn off the commercial printing at some stage? Is that like a long-term ambition? And then would it be like the dream to just live off the brand and do more and more, just keep squeezing it out?
That's the plan. I don't think I'll ever not do custom printing because I'm set up for it. And I'm definitely, I don't take on every job that comes to me. So I'm already doing that. I have a very good repeat customer base. So I just schedule it out. If I can fit it in my schedule, I'll take it on. But if I have stuff scheduled later, I'll just tell them I can't do it. And a lot of the times they'll wait. Like if it's not a time sensitive job, they'll just wait a week or two until I'm freed up. I'm just honest with people. If I'm super busy or really behind, like I was like, we can do it, but the turnaround is going to be X amount of days instead of the normal, whatever it is, you know. But the ultimate goal is for the brand to be the like 100% money maker.
So, like I was gonna ask you, like, so how, when you're building that brand, are you thinking about things like having affiliates for the brand, or are you going to be the main source of advertisement for it, or like how do you part of it?
I do have some people that I just send stuff out to every now and then. The amount of people that ask me for free stuff every week is insane, and I get it. It never hurts to ask, but like I'll have people that don't even follow me, and they're like, "Hey, I love your brand. Can I have some free stuff?" Yeah, it's like a copy and paste that they're just sending to everybody. I was like, I don't mind giving out free stuff, but I've got to have some value in return. So that's what there's. I have followers that have bought from me before, and they'll tag me and stuff, and I'll go to their page and look at them. I'm like, oh, this is like a tattoo dude that mountain climbs. Like that's like my target demographic.
Yeah.
So I'll send him free stuff every now and then, and it makes him more loyal to the brand because he has turned around and spent more money with me. He's not just banking on getting free shirts all the time, but I send him I still send them to him. Now, there's a few people like that, but I don't do any like official. Like I want everything to feel authentic, you know. And if I start doing like affiliate programs where I'm like, well, I need you to take 4 photos in this T-shirt and post them this many times to your story and this many times to your feed, like it loses that authenticity to it. So like my brand is very like punk rock and like DIY, and I want to keep it that way. And there are times where I'm like, I do need to get some other people so my feed's just not pictures of me over and over, but right now it works. So
you just said about like your key demographic is like bearded mountain climber, tattooed person. Well, not bearded, but I'm just adding that in. But
he does have a beard. I mean, you could stereotype.
Is it you? No.
Yeah.
But do you have like people who you would have never dreamed of like buying into it that just shock you when they come on the market and they love all your stuff and they're really like excited about it? Or are you
let's see, this sticker right here, it says "Overgrow the Government."
Yeah.
It's got a marijuana leaf on it.
Yeah.
Middle-aged women love this sticker when I do markets. I don't know what it is, but they'll like flock to it and they'll kind of like slide it to me and keep it covered. Like, hey, I would like to purchase this, and they'll like put it in their purse real quick. But so there are designs like that like it is always shocking to who buys what and what designs, because like when I have a release coming out this Friday, and I have designs that I think like this one's going to sell, then this one will probably be the next best, like almost like when you put out an album, like what's going to be the hit songs on it. But then I'll put out releases and it'll be completely different. And I'm like, oh, well, I stocked this one way more because I thought it was going to sell more.
Yeah.
So it ebb and flows, and the longer you do it, the better feel you get for it, like what kind of designs take off and all that. My wife's always like, why do you put skulls on everything? I'm like, well, first off, they're cool and people buy them.
Yeah. It's hard not to, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Can I like ask how you do your like inner neck labels, or do you bother, or like have you figured out how to do that or any of that yet?
I've done it before, and I would use Waterbased on that, or like a lot of curable reducer and plastisol. And I would like to do it. I like the look, make the brand feel a little tighter, but right now it's not high priority because it's just more work for me. Like maybe when I weed out all my custom printing, I might get like a tag printer, like a automatic one or something, but also don't have like any room to add any more equipment in here.
Yeah. So have you got a heat press? No heat press.
I have a little one on the floor right over here, but I don't use it very often.
Yeah. Because like we've done all of those things. Like we've done directly putting in the neck labels, printing them, which is like very scary if you've got like a 6-color front and back and you're like, oh,
yeah, you want to print the tag first so you know which shirts are gonna, if the tag print gets messed up.
Oh, it's horrible. And then we've done like plastic transfers, making our own transfers.
I've done those.
Yeah, but we just found DTF by the meter, single color white, because then they can't really mess it up, or even like ultra color transfers, but just the white ones. They're just almost unkillable sometimes. Like, yeah, we're not getting any duds. It's quick, and we can just like have them in stock. So all of our neck labels are always going to be the same. They're always just going to be Blind Maggot. We put the size labels in separate. I mean, they're already in there separate. So it's just, I'm just glad that bit of technology is just coming at the right time, so that we don't have to faff around with directly printing them in. Yeah, it's not adding much value, is it?
I mean, it's cool, like, and especially just from a creative standpoint, like, it's just fun to do those little things. Like, so like you said with the puff ink, you're going off the deep end, telling them about puff ink, and they're like, I'm just trying to buy this shirt from you.
I know.
Like, I don't care what kind of, and I'm like, well, I had to use like a 280 mesh count to get this like inside print, and it didn't bleed through the shirt, and everybody's like, I can't see the tag when it's on me anyway. I don't care. So
I know. Yeah, no, it is important. But at least we've got like our partners to kind of like pull us back from the edge of going like deep diving into the details and stuff, isn't it? Yeah, no, it's funny. So like you're saying like other print studios around you, like they're quite busy and stuff. Do you ever like recommend other studios when you're not going to take on the job? Do you go that far? Or
there's one right down the road. They're like one of the bigger ones in town, and their graphic designer buys shirts from me like every release. But they're capable of just taking on way bigger jobs, or like 4-color process. I don't really mess around with that kind of stuff. Or if I just honestly don't want to do the job, I'll just like, you can go over here.
Do you buffer it before, or do you say, guys, there's an incoming crappy job, or do you just take?
Oh no, there's been some I've sent over there, and they'll email me and they're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, we don't want this job either. I was like, I'm just kicking the can off to you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got told off by someone in town for that, and now I'm like, it was digital printing, and I knew it was awful because it was like they walked to the door. That's something you don't have to deal with, I suppose.
No.
Oh my god, you get anyone off the street and they're like telling you in-depth details about how someone's died and they need the order of service printed. You know, like, it's not me anyway. Yeah, I got told off for kicking the can down there, so I don't do any of that now.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't have a business phone either. I do everything through email, because like, people just want to like discuss their design with you, and I'm like, I don't need your life story about these 24 t-shirts. Like, that cuts into your profit margin, and people don't understand that. Like, it's time away from other things. And with email, I have a paper trail. Like,
yes.
I can see what our conversation was. So if I design something, you're like, oh, well, I said this. And it's like, well, no, you didn't. This is what we discussed, and this is what you got. So I don't have the time to do the phone calls, and I definitely don't do walk-in business, obviously, working from home. I do have customers come to my house and pick up custom orders, but again, they're repeat customers. Like, it's not a bunch of strangers coming to my house and all that. So,
and you can sell them some eggs as well from the chickens, or
something.
You're like, do you want some of these? I've got an excess amount of this. No, I think, but if you were designing a business model that suited your lifestyle, what you've got is what you'd build with hindsight. But you seem to have just like, did you ever have a phone and go, oh, this is a nightmare, turn it off? Or are these things you've developed, or you kind of knew most of them from the beginning? Or they're lucky accidents? Or
kind of all of the above. You know, like, when I first started printing, I was playing in bands and stuff, and out of necessity, bands need merch. And I started printing that way, but I didn't really have an idea to do a brand. And then everything kind of started evolving from there. And I knew I wanted to be my own boss one day and work for myself, but I didn't really have like a clear, this is how I'm going to get to that point. It just kind of worked out through trial and error. I actually sent out an email touching on this yesterday about how not taking the jump now isn't going to benefit you later. Like, it's going to be hard, but it's only going to get harder the longer you wait.
Yeah.
And I started working for myself when I was 28 or 29, but that was my goal, was to like do it before I turned 30. And even then I was like, man, I should have made that jump way earlier. Like, before I had kids and all that, like, because I quit my job, and then we had our first child in that same year.
Jeez,
so it was a lot going on. I was like, man, if I would have done this when I was 24 and went through all those hardships beforehand, would have made a big difference. But hindsight.
Yeah. No, yeah. I'm always trying to encourage people to be their own boss and stuff, even if it is this like side hustle culture that everyone's got going on now. It's perfect, because ultimately you're going to look back on your career, and unless it's a career where you can't do it when independently, like, I don't know, a surgeon or something, you can't just be your own independent surgeon in certain areas. Most people can just do their own business and build it up, and it is scary, but you're building something for someone else.
I think that's so important. Just for all business. It doesn't have to be screen printing. Like, even if you are just doing a side business, like, my wife propagates a lot of the plants in our yard and just sells them off of like Facebook Marketplace. And it's a few bucks here and there, but it's plants we already have that we got to trim up anyway. You know, like, there's so many different ways to make money, especially with the internet, that there's no reason not to do something. Like, it doesn't have to be your end all be all, your main money maker, but like, even these websites where you can just upload an image and they'll fulfill it for you and everything. Like, I've even messed around with that, like setting up some Etsy pages that use a fulfillment service is just kind of passive income, because I have all these design ideas that don't necessarily fit with the agenda brand, but they're good designs. So I do that, and it doesn't make me a lot of money, but I make $100-200 a month off of that, and I don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like I set it up once, and it just kind of sits there. And I check on it like once a month. And
yeah, but then sometimes the funny thing like just takes off, and you're thinking, well, at the end of like 10 years of print, if you were still printing for that other guy in that screen print studio, the one who said he didn't teach you anything, all you'd have now is calluses, and then
yeah,
that's it. You might have health insurance or something, but it's like you haven't got anything like tangible.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah.
Just.
Well, I was lucky. Like the last boss I had, I worked for him for about 8 years, and like I said, we mainly did vehicle wraps. So it was a full blown print shop. We did everything: signs, t-shirts, vehicle wraps. But he was like very good at like letting me learn and teaching me stuff, and any question I had. And like as I worked there, he knew I wanted to build my own business, so he knew that, but he would still teach me what he knew. And like because of that, I was able to like cut my hours, where instead of just abruptly quitting, I think when I quit, I was working like 2.5 days a week or something. And I still call him when I have questions, and I'll do side work for him from time to time. But he's getting close to retirement age, and like what you were saying, I have a new family and everything, so I'm like on the uptick of life right now, and he's like getting ready to settle back down and thinking about selling the business in a few years. And like, where would that put me? Yeah, when I'm in the middle of raising kids, if he just got rid of his business, you know?
Yeah. You'd have nothing. You'd have I think I'm probably a bit too far on the side of self-employment, but in my opinion, you just got another line on your CV.
Yeah.
You just lie about it anyway. Just make it up.
Yeah.
Just get your friend to pretend that they're your, that they're your ex-boss or something. But
I like over the last year, and like after COVID and all that stuff, like I've really been pondering the idea of like freedom more, and being your own boss gives you that freedom. Like, because to me, that's ultimately what it is. Like, we all have to make money, but we should never, like, none of us should be so tied into something that we can't escape it. And not that I want to escape this, but I have so much freedom built in my life because I've been deliberate with how I've built my business. Yeah. And like, that is way more valuable than like the bottom line, you know, and how much I'm making every single day. So, and to me, that's worth it. Like I said earlier, we're looking to buy property and move out to that. And hopefully I'll have this, like, you know, a whopping 500 square foot print shop, which would be double what I have now. But like overlooking a pond with like ducks and chickens and stuff running around, but still screen printing. It'd be funny if you actually just like got your huge studio, but you actually just contained yourself in a corner because it was like too much space for you, like too overwhelming. But yeah, I'm able to like pick up and move because I don't have a storefront, you know. In the summer of 2020, we spent a month in Colorado camping out of the van, like me, my wife, our 2 kids, and our 65-pound dog. But I brought all my inventory with me, so I was fulfilling orders on the road the whole time.
Wow, that's so cool.
It was a lot. I don't know if I could. If I could do it now, because my business has taken off so much in the last 2 years, I think I'd have to like pull a whole trailer behind the van to like manage it. But it was cool that was kind of the plan. I wanted to test it to see if I could maintain that, and it worked out. And it's something that I could see if we wanted to take family vacations. Like, yeah, I'm still working, but like I'm actively making money while we're on the trip, spending money, and all I got to do is package orders every day.
Yeah. Because sometimes on market stores and stuff, do you feel like it's actually not really like work, because making money and selling is fun. Talking to the customers is fun. Sometimes you can just have a beer and get some street food. And
well, that's what I was about to say. Like those night markets, I'm like, I get to sit around, drink beer, and talk about myself. Yes. Like, and people are excited to hear it.
Yeah. So like, what's better than that? What other job can you do that in? It's not even like, it's not even stressful like the making the food, because you just give them the shirt and say, oh yeah, you look nice in that, or yeah, piece of cake. Yeah, I genuinely think I think a lot of print studios should just taste it, you know, they should just try and do their shop shirt as a bit of a brand, maybe think about it as a brand, or go to a market and just test the waters on those things, because it is incredibly fun, and it's showing your kids as well.
Oh yeah, my wife will bring the kids out there, and like they're like pulling shirts out of inventory, and I'm like, come on. But just like screen printing in general, we're all naturally kind of like creative people. We stare at like shirt designs all day, so naturally we got tons of them up here. Why not give it a shot to try to do a market, you know? Or I've even done live printing before, which is a little bit more work getting equipment out there and stuff, but like it's also a good way to just market. Like even if you're a big print shop that doesn't want to have like a brand, but you just make some cool shop shirts where like the shop name might just be kind of small under the main design. It's just a cool design, and like that gets people buying the shirts, so you make some money, but then you get networking in there and get those custom jobs and stuff. So I've gotten plenty of custom jobs through doing markets as well, just talking to people.
Yeah, I know that's something else that I'm trying to tell people is I'm just trying to, I do this marketing column for a magazine, but I'm doing it for a different magazine now. But that's one of the huge things I'm trying to communicate to these people doing advertising is we're actually having to have so many conversations about, oh, will you print my shirt for me? And we're a bit like, no, we're really just printing for ourselves now. But if I led all those opportunities, then there's just so much out there that's just not being taken on as jobs. But like people who are sitting in the studios like twiddling their thumbs going, why am I not getting jobs? It's because go outside and do something a bit different, and they're literally waiting and they just don't know about you.
Well, that's like the difference between an entrepreneur and like a business owner. Like a business owner just has a business to make money. Like, but an entrepreneur, no matter what the field, like they're just more creative. Like they can adapt to things and change things. And like right now on Instagram, they're really pushing the reels and doing videos. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing this now. And it's taken off. Like I've gotten way more interactions and traction and all that. And like, it seems silly. And people are like, well, I don't care about that. And I was like, that's the market today. Like, it doesn't mean you have to fully embrace it and be like, do TikTok dances or anything, but like, that is how you're going to get your brand out there. So you do have to play that game a little bit, you know?
I'll play any bloody game. It's not going to be TikTok and Instagram in a few years. It's going to be something completely different.
Exactly. And you're going to have to adapt to that. So
it's probably going to be like Vero and NFTs and like digital shit that you don't even know. Like you're probably going to have to sell a t-shirt, but genuinely you'll probably have to sell a t-shirt and then there'll be a digital version of it. And then people are like collecting your brand and leveling up, and then they interact that with your website, and then they get limited edition shirts. And they're not going to be called NFTs anymore. It's just going to be like memberships to Agenda, for example. And then like if they see you at a market, they get like one token. And if they buy off your website 5 times, then they get upgraded to another token and special access. And we just have to keep looking at it, even if we're not interested yet, because it's gonna it's gonna switch over.
Yeah, you have to keep your finger on the pulse of things. Like I mean, even though like I've kind of streamlined my business, how I have everything set up and everything I use, like I love screen printing, so I'm always interested in seeing what's going on in the industry. I'm like, that's really cool. I'm not going to do it, but it's still really cool that it's being done, kind of thing, you know. I'm at least aware of it, so it doesn't like come out of left field and I'm like, oh no, what, like director garments overtaking the whole industry. I didn't even know what it was or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I've made some slightly negative comments about that, and I got absolutely roasted by some big industry people. Like I didn't even know you followed me. I'm allowed my opinion on DTG, but
you're allowed that opinion, but it's wrong. DTG is not that cool.
Yes. Anyway, so what is it like? Can you explain to people who don't know or are just like getting into making their own brand, and they're going to be tempted to go for like people fulfilling it, and then they're going to get tempted by that DTG thing and then all the other things, But like, is there a reason why you've stuck to screen print for your brand, and it's not just like what are the reasons that you stuck to it and you haven't been tempted by the other things?
Well, authenticity, quality control, because I've definitely, like I said, I have those Etsy pages set up, and I'll get samples in, and I'm like, I mean, this is good for what it is, but I'm not gonna put like myself behind that brand, like that's really just passive income of just dumb shirt designs, and people know what they're getting. But like, I'm not gonna have like a lifestyle brand and then put out crappy products. So,
so they don't say a gender on them; they're just like faceless.
Yeah,
stuff.
just dumb sayings and goofy things like that. But it is tempting, and there are some resources with fulfillment services and all that, but I think you gotta, especially starting out, like you gotta have your hands on the product, and you gotta like put in that work. Like everybody just wants to like jump to this bigger area. Like one of my friends' brands, and he's so big, but he doesn't do any of the design or the printing, but they do fulfill everything. So he still orders in bulk and all that. But like, he's the one that told me, like, you're marketing. That's what you're doing. Like that is his job, is to market and build content and stuff, and the product sells itself. But just by like, when I fulfill orders, I put a little handwritten note in like each order, and that goes such a long way. Like I have more people commenting on just that note than anything else. And when I have the capital, I usually buy extra stickers and throw in stickers with packages. And you can't do that with a fulfillment service, obviously, And then if they get the wrong size, they got to contact you. You got to contact that, and it actually adds more problems unless you're such a large scale where you can you have the capital to fine tune all that stuff. But starting off, you need your hands on the product, even if you're getting somebody else to print them.
Yeah. I heard like this entrepreneur guy who I follow on Instagram, and he said the other day, everyone's asking like how to get there the fastest. And it's like, well, you're just piss off then, because it's kind of like, if you're asking how to do everything fast, you're saying how to do everything crappily for a quick buck, then you're going to get found out. So it's like,
exactly. That's a short-term gain. Like it's like playing the lottery. There might be a chance you'll hit it big, but more than likely not. So it's not worth those short-term gains just to like, because I see ads like that. They're like, how to start a streetwear brand for $300 or whatever. And it's like, it's the most vague stuff and just like boring designs that look like everything else and all that. So you just got to be authentic for what you're doing. And that resonates with people.
Yeah. Can I talk to you about, like, you said you have all these designs in your head. Do you ever like give anyone else the design work, but kind of like set them up with like what you want? Or do you always take it on yourself? Or?
I do most of my design work. I have a handful of designs like in the past, because I always say like I'm a screen printer first and then a designer second, but I have a bunch of friends that are like professional designers, and one of them, he needed some shirts printed. So I was like, at the time I didn't have a logo. I was like, you design me a logo, I'll print you some shirts. So my main logo, my little ATC tree, he actually designed that. Like the one thing I didn't design is my logo. But I kind of gave him like an idea of what I was envisioning, and I tried to sketch it out. I could just never design it how I saw it in my head, and he nailed it. So I'm not opposed to that. It's just like tattoos. Like guys are like, they have their artist, and you go to the same person over and over and over, and it's like, that's great, but there's a lot of talent out there. So like, it's okay to change it up. Like you can still have your guy. Like I got people that I get most of my tattoos from, but like, I'm not gonna like, there's this guy over here that's doing awesome work too. So if there's a design that's past my skill set, like I will send it to a friend, but I do 99% of my own designs.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I actually don't have that skill. I can sit there for a few hours wasting time making something disgusting, and then I ask for like, oh, is this good? And like Em would just say, no, let me take that job off you. I thought that was going to be okay. And then she just does a
Yeah.
whole new version of it. But at least I can set her up and I can set up designers. And I've got the eye for it. I just haven't put in any time to like being an illustrator.
But that's good knowing that this isn't a strong point for you, because that is the downfall. Like when you try to do everything, but you can't, there is like when you're starting off, you do have to wear all the hats and do a little bit of everything. But like, I've gotten to the point now where like certain things I'm like, I can do it, but it makes more sense for my time if I just pay somebody else to do this or whatever, like, or get somebody else to do something. I'm still trying to find somebody that'll reclaim screens for me all the time, but nobody wants to do that job.
Yeah. Oh God, Muggins used to do it for people. But what was I guess? So like, what is one of the jobs that you have outsourced? Is it to do with your like finances, or is it like those small design and design jobs?
Well, like the only help I really get, my wife takes care of all the taxes and like back end kind of stuff. Because I'm like, I'm the face of the business. I got to do everything else. If you could just take care of this. So she takes care of that back end stuff. But for me, that's really the only other help I get, unless I outsource the design or something like that. But like, I think it's just good knowledge to have, to know where your limits are, and it's okay to like outsource certain things, and you'll do better like mentally by not trying to do everything all the time, because it is exhausting.
Yeah. If I was suggesting for like a new studio, I'd say the finances and the bookkeeping and that bit is the first thing that I'd get rid of. Like, get it off your plate, because they'll throw up things that you haven't even thought of when they're doing the deep clean on you. And they're just like, oh my God, is this how you've been doing it? And you're like, why is that bad? And they're like, yes, it's bad.
Yeah, I went through that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do it all, and I was like, it's out of my expertise.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely that kind of stuff. Finances, taxes, like just your profit margins, because like you'll think you're making money, and then you sit down and really break it down, and you're like, oh geez, I just paid them to print these shirts. Like,
you paid for the order. Like, you might as well have just donated the shirts, because
I did that.
You donated your time.
I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I quoted this job, and it was front and back print and both sleeve prints on the long sleeve, like multiple color all the way around. And I didn't quote them for the sleeve print. And I was just, and I still had to print it, because I already told, like, we agreed that was what we were doing. I can't go back and be like, oh yeah, by the way, I left off like $500 off of that order. Like, it just kind of is what it is. And it still happens from time to time. It's less and less than when I started, but those little things, like, they add up if you aren't careful, That's why I try not to like quote custom orders like after lunch, because like I'm just like mentally not there. Like, I have to crunch numbers in the morning. That's like a morning thing.
Oh, that's really good to know. Yeah, that you've got the zones. And you're like, I am going to mess up if I do this late.
Yeah, well, I really try to set up my days like that. Like, anything that takes like way more cognitive ability, I do first thing in the morning. Like, I check all my emails. I like work on the website. I do designs. Like, everything at the computer is like a morning thing. And then after lunch, that's usually when I do printing, or I'll fulfill orders, or like reclaim screens, like the menial, like more mindless task I save for the afternoon for sure.
Yeah, that's really clever. Why not? Also, when you start designing your time like that, it gets really addictive. And like, so I used to work in here, like, I don't know, like must be 12-hour days every single day. And I'd go home and I'd also like be so tired just driving back, and it was probably unsafe. And then like weekends were just for the studio. I'd just really easily give over a weekend to do a job. But when you start like going, no, Friday afternoons are mine, I'm never going to do a job on a Friday, then you start seeing all the other places where you can put in your own time. So it's really interesting how you said like, no, I'm going to do camping because I'm working on the weekend, so I kind of deserve it. Not that
But
you have to justify
I
it to anyone.
still give myself like time off, but like the way my schedule works, my time off might be in the middle of the week, you know?
Mhm.
And even though I'm going camping, it's still technically business because I'm just going to take a bunch of product photos while I'm out there.
Yeah.
But that's like, my friends are like, oh, Jacob's going camping again for work. And I'm like, don't knock me because I built a business that I get to go camp for work.
Yeah. No, yeah, perfect. Exactly. So like you could, when your kids are a little bit older, they might like really enjoy working on the markets and like selling, and then they learn that entrepreneurial thing instead of having the lemonade store. They're like, no, I'm designing a shirt, printing.
My oldest is 5, and we've already like had him draw on transparencies and print his own shirts. And every time I turn on the oven, he's like, "Can I do a test print?" Like he just wants to do all the test prints.
Yeah, that's pretty cute. Like, why not? That's I just think that's building in so many like really solid values for him and stuff.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah,
and he sees what I'm doing to like directly provide for the family. You know, I'm not like going off somewhere to do it. But kind of background of the time management thing, like you were saying, you could easily work 12-hour days and you get home and you're exhausted and you're like, what the hell did I actually like accomplish today? Because like if you don't structure things, you're just kind of like, well, I'm gonna do this over here and then I'm gonna do this and then that, and like you aren't really accomplishing anything at all. You're just kind of half-assing a bunch of little things. And being very structured like that is important, especially when you're the only person doing everything. Like my mind's like 100 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah.
And you always have that like underlying dread that you're missing something. You're like, I know I'm forgetting about something. Even though I've been like, I got a dry erase board here. I got a calendar here. I have like my main notebook that like when I go camping, that notebook comes with me. Like everything is in that notebook, and I'm still like, I'm forgetting something. I know it. Like,
no, it's so easy to do. I used to brag about the most ridiculous shit when I first started because I thought it was like hustle culture, and I thought it was really impressive to have like 3 machines going at the same time. Like, it's like, no, I wasn't. At the end of the day, I was knackered. I wasn't actually making profit. I was turning over a hell of a lot. And I was making mistakes, and all of those were eating into my money, but I didn't know it because I wasn't tracking my profit. It's all, we're not in this as a hobby. We're not just pissing around in the garage after work for nothing. We're trying to make businesses, aren't we? So
and being busy doesn't equate to being successful. You know, like I could easily every single day like work till 8 or 9 o'clock every night. And that's something else which is super easy to do, being that like all I got to do is walk through this door. Like when I'm sitting on the couch, which I will do, something will pop in my head, I'll run in here and write it down. But like with my shop being attached to my house, like I have to make a conscious decision to like cut off work every day. And I try to do that so I have family time and all that, because I could easily sit in here all night long and like fiddle with stuff, but it's not really benefiting me anymore, you know?
Yeah. But it is something that you kind of learn, isn't it? But hopefully you take advice from people like us who have done it and haven't got anywhere out of it and had to change. No, it's really interesting. I think we've got a lot of really good insight into how you built it. Have you got like a shop hack that you'd want to share with anyone? Like something that you think is unique to your studio, or?
Let me think. I mean, I got a bunch of little stuff. I don't have like a...
Yeah, go for the little things because they might just surprise people.
Well, one little thing, I'm looking at all my ink knives over there, and they're just like on a magnetic strip for like kitchen knives. So I don't have to wipe them off every time I'm done with them, or keep them in the ink bucket. I don't know if you can...
I can. I think I can imagine it as well. I can
right
see.
Over there. And using those large screens is key. Saves on tape. It's all these little things that add up. I don't have like one thing that like this is like what I'm known for. It's all these little things to streamline, keep your shop clean as possible and efficient.
Yeah.
And
it will just trickle down, won't it? Yeah. Make it
those
enjoyable.
those little successes and those little wins will like snowball into success later down the road, you know.
Yeah.
And it's habit building. It's not just with screen printing, it's everything in life. You just build those little habits, and all those compile to more and more success. So
yeah, that's what you brought into your fitness as well, isn't it? Because I saw a post a little while ago, and it was like, oh, this is how I used to think I was really trim, but actually now, like, I've built in this structure into my life as well, and it's
yep.
transpired that you're like hench now. I don't know if you got that word in America, but it's funny. Yeah, it's really cool. I really appreciate your time and telling us about all of that, and I hope you have more litter specific shirts going
I'm
up
sure
soon.
I will.
Yep. Yeah, okay, good. I'm gonna get a litter bug one, or I could just like make that the theme of my next shirt. Like, see if people around here hate it as much as I do.
Yep. You get to use the word rubbish.
Oh, do you not have that one? You got trash.
Yeah, if I use rubbish on a shirt here in America, that people will be like, "What are you doing? Rubbish? What is rubbish?"
Okay.
All right.
Thank you
Good
so
talking
much.
to you.
Cheers.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.